4-point win and will play for the gold medal against France on Saturday. Let's talk about Steph. 36 points, a complete 180 from the 7 points per game he was averaging through the team's first 4 games. His 9 threes tied for the second most by a U.S. men's player at the Olympics. Only Carmelo Anthony ever had more. He made 10 in a game against Nigeria in 2012. Let's go to Paris. Windy, I mean, I can hardly contain myself just doing the highlight again after watching this yesterday. And you told us in our meeting this morning you were back at the team hotel afterwards. How would you describe the mood of this team?
Pride. There was just a pride that they all had about overcoming that difficult situation. Obviously, there's some relief because they exist in a world where there's pressure to win, and a loss would mean really infamy regarding this entire summer. But their willingness to come together, their ability to come together, and really to rely on what they've been working on for the last month, it was remarkable. At the end of the game, Greeny, 5 NBA MVPs on the court competing, 4 on the U.S. side, 1 in Jokic on the other side. Outside of an all-star game, you're never going to see that, and that's what we saw last night.
It genuinely was. I know I am prone to hyperbole. It was one of the most exciting games of basketball I have watched in my entire life when you consider the stakes and everything else. And I'll tell you another thing that I was thinking about, Windy. You're here with us all season long through the NBA year. And the storyline in the NBA is about all the young stars, all these young guys who were taking over the league. But when the chips were down and the Americans needed it most yesterday, it was LeBron, Kevin Durant, and Steph Curry, the 3 faces of this league for a generation who made the big shots.
They shut down Serbia. Basically, they won this game with defense. They changed their defense. Embiid was busting his tail, getting out and defending on the perimeter because he had moved off of Jokic. Steph Curry is defending full court. Durant is picking up full court. The 30-something first ballot Hall of Famers carried the American team home.
It was an incredible game. Now, Windy, the vibe here might be very different from the vibe there. And I want to play you what Charles Barkley said. So Charles went on Amber and Ian on ESPN radio yesterday, and this was his reaction to a very narrow victory and overall Steve Kerr's coaching.
And they shouldn't be tested. They should win. They got the best team. They haven't used their depth the right way, because the one advantage we had in '92, and they still have today, when they go to their bench, they're bringing in better players. He has not used his team properly. We should never be a debate on guys getting to play and not getting to play. Listen, you can't. Putting Jason Tatum in an NBA game, he's going to be better than 99% of the guys already in the world, but especially guys who coming from a foreign country. So you just kind of keep your guys on a treadmill and keep them rolling around.
So that was Charles Barkley again yesterday on ESPN radio. He's not the only place that I've heard some of that criticism from. Windy, what is the reaction?
I agree with Charles in that they are the best team and that they should win. I do not agree with Charles whatsoever in that they will not be tested. That is just a misread of the current state of the world of basketball. The U.S. has been holding off the wolf at the door for the last 2 Olympics now. The world is tremendous, and the way our players decide they want to use their summers, which is largely not to play for the national team except in the Olympic year, this is what we're going to have to do. We are going to expect to have to win games like this. And with all due respect, I think Steve Kerr's coaching has been spectacular. Number one, he has 10 players averaging between 16 and 22 minutes. That is using his depth. The usage of the first and second team and the way that he's rotated them in and out is the reason that U.S. was winning by 24 points over their first 4 games. And when it mattered, what happened in this game, let me tell you what happened in this game. In the fourth quarter, when I've seen Team USA lose games over the years, it's because when they get under pressure, they revert to playing in the NBA. And for the last month, Steve Kerr has been reinforcing over and over to these guys, when you're in trouble, play FIBA rules.
Tomorrow for the gold medal, USA a 16.5-point favorite. I'll make it clear for those of you who don't follow international basketball, this was not the expected matchup. Either Germany or Canada would have been the team the Americans would have been expecting to play on the other side. So what are we looking ahead to tomorrow?
France was a team a couple of days ago, Greeny, that was in chaos. They lost 4 games, leading up to the Olympics. They almost lost to Japan, which would have been an absolute tragedy here in France. They barely made it to the medal round. Their coaches and players were sniping at each other in the media. And you talking about Jason Tatum as the 11th man? How about the 2 of the most decorated players in all of French basketball history, Evan Fournier and Rudy Gobert? Their coach, Vincent Collet, pulled them out of the starting lineup and barely played them when they played Canada, their most important game. And it's worked. The lineup changes have reinvigorated the French. They've done back-to-back upsets. Germany had won 13 consecutive international games. This, in theory, should not be as competitive as a game as Serbia, but the way France is playing in front of their home crowd, anything could happen.
Yeah, you never know. All right, look, it was an incredible day.